Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Health Chats Among Friends. So, I'm Deidre Kendrick, your nurse advocate, and tonight I have the pleasure of chatting with my good friend Alma Garcia. Alma, say hello.
Hi there. Hello, everyone.
Awesome. I'm so happy that you had the time to come and chat with me tonight because you're in Costa Rica.
Always have time for you, my friend.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, well, then I need to get my room and come on and come there.
Yes, yes, you must.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Alma.
I am I am somebody who has had their hand in several industries. I started out in a management consultant firm in Washington, D.C., and then I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and started my own business, a ski shuttle business. Um, then I moved back to Dallas when my mom needed care in 2006. And I've always been a lifetime volunteer, so I've always been a mentor um, and supported organizations like Big Brothers Big Sisters and helping to mentor girls. So I do have some nonprofit leadership skills. And then when my mom got sick in 2012, I started working in the healthcare solutions industry. And so I retired from that industry in 2019, and I've been in Costa Rica since February.
That's awesome. Well, the
Yeah.
reason I wanted you to come tonight because I wanted us to chat about the caregiver daughter perspective.
Okay.
Because lots of times when I say caregiver, people think a paid professional, like a CNA or a nurse or someone like that. But no, when I talk about caregivers, I talk about people like us.
Yes.
So
Family caregivers.
right. So I wanted us to kind of chit chat about our different stories with our moms and, what our perspective was on that being in that role and out of the professional role, being in the personal role.
Okay.
So I'll let you start by sharing your story because I heard you said
Oh,
you came to take care of your mom.
yes. I moved back in 2006, and my mom was already showing signs that something was not right. She was being forgetful. I was getting phone calls from some of her lady friends from church. They were telling on my mom. Basically, they were saying, she ran off the road. She didn't see a barrier. She got lost on the way to Walmart. And so I'm one of six siblings. So I, would share with my siblings what was going on with mom. And in 2012, it really came to a head. We were attending our nephew's college graduation in Oklahoma. And on the drive back, she started hallucinating and she was seeing evil men looking in the car windows as we were driving back to Dallas. And so you could see it in her face and in her body language. For her, it was real, and she was terrified. And so we just held her hand. Grew up in a Christian home, and our parents taught us, we call them coritos in Spanish, but it's little Christian songs that we would sing around the bonfire. And so we started singing those songs so she could remember, something from the past. And she remembered all of the songs that we were singing and started singing with us. That calmed her down a little bit. But then it would start again, as soon as we would stop, for a break and we would drive for a little bit, that the hallucinations would come back, and they would come back even stronger. So that was the beginning of her journey in 2012.
Wow. Wow. And it's such a scary thing to be with somebody that you love that is actually experiencing that. And I tell so many people that when your mother or father suffers from Alzheimer's, don't argue with them about, oh,
Exactly.
no, you're not seeing it. No, don't argue with them. Just okay, mom, and just like you did the exact thing, the right thing. You started singing to her, making her more comfortable. It's a lot
Yeah,
of good research out there about music therapy, period. But um,
right.
yeah,
I think the whole thing with memory loss is to
mm,
validate that person. Like you said, do not tell them that what they're feeling or thinking is not real, because to them
mm-hmm,
it is real, but validate them. Or in this case, I mean, we were just at the beginning of her journey. So at that point, we were just deviating, right? Diverting her attention to
right,
something else,
right,
which is also another technique that you can use
mm-hmm,
to divert, someone's attention, kind of like shifting, helping them to
yeah,
shift gears so that they forget the moment and then they can go on to their next thought process. So, but what you said is really important, is to validate them.
right,
My mom would often forget that my dad had been, that he had passed 20 years, ago. And she would say, I have to cook dinner. He'll be here at 6 and he'll be upset if the dinner is not ready. And so instead of saying, "Oh, mom, don't you remember Dad's been gone for a while?"
you don't want to do that.
Hey, let's set the table. Let's set the table in a little while. But in the meantime, and so I would start with another little story, and before you know it, she would forget about
Right,
setting the table and starting dinner.
right, right, right. Or I tell people, oh, so many stories. I tell people that a little white lie is okay, especially when you're dealing with Alzheimer's. A true story. So I was working in the hospital in the ICU. And when you come into the ICU, you got your beeps, your buzzes. We're telling you don't move, stay there, don't untie that, don't do this, you can't get out of bed. And someone with Alzheimer's doesn't understand that, and
That's
they're
right.
already in a strange environment. So I had this one little lady, she refused to take off her shoes. So that's okay. That's fine. It's like she wasn't having a major procedure or anything. So I figured she was cold. So she said she was cold, after, probing and getting some questions and everything out of her. And I was working day shift. So about 3 o'clock, this is before she started sundowning, she said, I got to go get dinner ready for the kids. And I said to her, well, this is just this beautiful hotel that you're staying in. Let's just make you sure you're comfortable because you're here to relax. They've paid for you to come here to this hotel to relax. And I tell you,
I
the
love
look on
it.
her face was like, oh, that was so nice of them to pay for me for this hotel. And so then we started folding towels and just kind of getting her mind off of the fact that she didn't know she was in the hospital. She didn't know that she's supposed to abide by quote unquote our rules while you're there. And so it's very hard in the hospital system when you have someone who has Alzheimer's and they're out of their environment. So you got to be creative a little bit. And just like, I couldn't tell her that her kids were grown because it wasn't going to snap for her and that they were with their own kids. But it snapped for her when she realized that, oh, yes, okay, I can not make dinner tonight because I am in this hotel. So,
It's a beautiful thing when you can redirect somebody and ease their mind. That was something beautiful that you did for her,
oh,
because I imagine that she was in a scary moment,
right.
and redirecting them, making them feel safe makes all the difference in the world.
It does. It does. And being a daughter caregiver is extremely stressful. I don't care what profession you're in. Just because you take care of people every day doesn't mean that you're not stressed out, especially when it's someone that's close to your heart. Um,
Absolutely.
and mine was, I have two sisters and they're wonderful. I have a brother also. He's not here in the area, but it was a lot of family meetings as mom, carried on. So my story is basically my mom was about 52 right in there and she lived by herself. And we'd come over, all the holidays were over there. We'd come over there and see mom or anything, just visit with her. And then we started noticing, Mama, how'd you get that bruise? Oh, it's nothing. I fell and I just laid there for a little while. I'm like, why did you call us? They don't want to lose their independence. And so then she started having these symptoms of weakness and falling more and more. And so we were like, okay, what is going on? So we ended up taking her into the doctor, and he said, well, she's too, they did all this testing back and forth to the doctors. And they did this testing. They said, well, she's too young for MS. No, I got that wrong. She's too old for MS. She's too young for Parkinson's. So she was showing symptoms of both, difficulty, keeping her balance and things like that, and the tremors and things like that. So that was stressful, going back and forth and wondering about the unknown.
And at 52, that is really young.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So they ended up after, shoot, it was like 18 months back and forth, getting off of work, going to the neurologist. The neurologist doesn't think it's this. So you got to test for something else. But to make a long short story short, that's a stressful time for anybody because you don't know the unknown. It was just like, diagnose her with something so we can get it treated, because MS and Parkinson's are treated totally different.
Yes.
And so that was our issue. And that's just two disease processes she had. So it was just a time of like, help, help. So how did you feel when your sisters and your brothers, were they there to help out?
Yes, we were a normal family. And when I say that is we all worked full time. And we all had jobs. There's 6 of us, but 2 lived out of the area, and there was 4 of us in the area. But basically all 6 of us were involved in everything. Even though the 2 were not near, they knew what was going on any given day. And we really had to solidify, we had to become a team for mom, team mom. And believe me, these are 6 totally different people, individuals that we're talking about. And I'm sure you can attest
I can.
in your own situation, with your siblings, how it's not very easy to come to a decision or a conclusion. But we had to lay our egos aside. We had to lay aside our differences. And we had to focus on what was best for mom. I mean, that was the thing that we always came back to, is what is best for mom. Or it's not what we want. And believe it or not, I am proud we were able to agree on the majority of
Right.
things. My mom was never in a home because she had told each and every one of us individually and collectively that she wanted to be in her own home if anything happened and she became ill.
Mhm.
So we did that, and we were able to fulfill that wish of hers. But that meant care at home.
Right.
That meant all of us getting involved personally, because when my mom first when I first moved back to Dallas in 2006, I gathered my siblings together and I talked to them about long-term care insurance for mom. That's a type of insurance that will help for home care wherever the care is needed. And it's an insurance policy that will help pay for these services. Well, siblings, we had a broker come and talk to us. We had several brokers, and we were able to compare, from several companies.
Awesome.
And my siblings thought that it was too expensive for the premiums. Even if we divided it by 6, it was very expensive.
Yeah.
And my mom, the older that you get, the
Yep.
older than you wait for that type of insurance, the more expensive that it is.
Right.
So I was telling my siblings, okay, because they vetoed it. They said it was too expensive. And so I said, I get it, because it's expensive for me too, but I'm willing to get a part-time job or whatever it is that I need to do to pay for the premiums. Long story short, they vetoed it down. And I said, okay, but just remember that when she does need care, we're going to be the ones to
Yeah.
either provide the care ourselves or
Yeah.
pay for the care. And that's exactly what happened. Fast forward. in 2012. That's exactly what my mom needed. And so that's when you really become, a glue, a team for
Mm-hmm.
mom,
Mm-hmm.
and you decide, okay, who's going to have, we did have two caregivers that cared for her because she needed 24/7 care. It also depends on the number of hours that you need care for. And my mom needed 24/7 care. She could not be left alone during the night.
Yeah.
She needed somebody with, to help her with her activities of daily living during the day. And
Mm-hmm.
so we had two caregivers that would alternate 12-hour shifts. And
Okay.
then me and my siblings would alternate the weekend care. And we all, even included the caregivers, the outside caregivers. There were women that my mom knew from church, and so
Okay.
we hired them personally. But even they had to become a team with us. For they had to join Team Mom, and really help be involved in everything. Medication
Mm-hmm.
management, the type of therapies that we came up with for mom, so that she would, have good circulation and things like that. Later on, she had a couple of falls too, and fractured her hip bone, and things like that. And so over the years, memory became, her memory loss increased and her physical abilities decreased. So,
Wow.
and that happens with age and with this disease too.
But we're both are so blessed because our brothers and sisters were able to build that village.
Yes.
And one thing that we did was we found out where each other was strong in. What were we comfortable doing? And this was family meeting after family meeting. After if there was a change, we came back together and revamped. That's because there's two nurses in the family, and you got a healthcare background.
That's
But
awesome.
I want to focus on those people who are either solo children or those that have those siblings that think, you handle it. You've always handle it. Just do it. So what would you say to somebody like that? Because I know what I would say, but what would you say?
I think that it's good for people to stretch and grow, and it's good for people to get out of their comfort zones.
Mm-hmm.
It's that 80/20 rule. If if you allow any group that you're involved in, including family, you know, 20% of the people are going to do 80% of the work if you allow
Mm-hmm.
that. And so, how do you convince, in the loving way, how do you convince your family members to, you know, to, you know, to stretch out the responsibilities as
Right.
evenly as you can, as you can,
Right.
looking at people's schedules and skill levels and all that.
Respecting
But
each other. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
respectfully asking them,
Mm-hmm.
this is, so that no one is, has a full load. How do we do that? And in my family, we were able to come to terms with that. I would just recommend that people try to get to that point as lovingly as they can.
Right.
And it can happen. I mean, if you focus on the
Yeah.
interest of that person, if you
We're
then
both
and I
living proof. We're both living proof that it can happen, but it can be so hard. But like you said, I love what you said when you said you guys took yourselves out of it.
yes,
You put your differences aside, and because families have differences.
they do. Yes, they do.
And it was all about your mom. Let's put aside what we think,
Yeah.
because truth be told, I struggled with it because I was like, my mom passed away when she was 55. After this
Um,
battle back and forth with, she also had asthma and she had colon cancer.
mm-hmm.
So seeing somebody so vibrant slowly deteriorate is not an easy task. And we also tried to make sure we took care of each other. Like when that sibling, my sister, was who my mom chose to live with. She didn't want to live with me. She said I was too bossy. Can you imagine? She said, I'm bossy. But so just to make sure she was getting her breaks too, because she had mom 24/7. We came in here and there, took mom to the doctors and things like that. So we also automatically took care of each other as well. So I think that's key.
Well, I think that you hit on something that is a gold nugget, is a lot of the stress that a family caregiver goes through can it end up making you sick as a caregiver. You know,
Absolutely.
stress is a killer. We all know that. And
Hmm.
stress causes cancer and all kinds of other
Yeah.
inflammatory diseases.
Yes.
So making sure that you have a wellness plan, you know, that you are following is going to help. It doesn't have to be an elaborate plan. It could be, you know, having a quiet, 10 minutes in the morning,
Yeah.
before you start your day. It could be anything simple like that.
Hmm.
But you do need some routine or some habits so that you can make sure that you are okay, because you have to be okay so that you can take care of your loved one.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't work any other way.
And for those children that are single, just, only children, that's what the word I was looking for. I don't know why I wouldn't come.
Yes,
But seek help.
yes,
And, it's also about, for me, I say for me, it was, I can do it all. I don't need help. I'm okay. Yeah, I got it. I got that. I got that
yeah,
too. I got that too. And I was negating myself. And then after a while, I had a good friend say, "You need to let me help.
yeah,
You need to let somebody bring that casserole over. Let somebody let you go take a nap while they watch mom or dad. It's okay. Please do it so you can be energized and more refreshed. Don't think, well, they can't do
Ab-
it because they're not going to do it your way."
absolutely, absolutely. I think too, besides having a plan to take care of yourself, is surround yourself with people like you just said, who can be your net, your tribe,
Mhm.
to support you, and can be there for respite care or to bring meals, like you said. But also, I think what helped me too is I sought support in other ways. Like there's so many memory support groups that are
Mm.
wonderful. They're gathering in churches or in different locations, and most of them are free. And it's
Yep.
in you're talking to other family members who are going through the same thing that you're going through, and
Hmm.
just listening to their pain, validates what you're going through.
Right.
Listening to how they handle a situation may work for you too. Is just a good way to exchange information and really get that emotional support that we all
Absolutely.
need. Hmm.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna ask this too because a lot of people feel guilty about this. After my mom passed, there was a sigh of relief because she was no longer suffering. She was no longer in pain. Um, we could, but it was also kind of like a loss at the same time. It was a relief, but it was like a loss. And I know that sounds cruel to some people, but until you walked in those shoes as a caregiver, you're like,
Yeah,
now what?
yeah.
You know?
Well, that's something to think about before your loved one passes and transitions too, is what is your plan for your life after your loved one is gone?
Absolutely.
You don't want to get into the mindset of, okay, who in my family needs my care now? Like, don't go from one person who needs you to the next person.
Hmm.
Um, Find or think about what your plan is going to be. In my case, I knew, 4 or 5 years ago, I wanted to go to move to Costa Rica. I had done all the research. I couldn't pull the trigger as long as mom needed me and my
Hmm.
siblings needed me.
Hmm.
So when my mom did transition in July of 2019, I was somewhat relieved because I could move forward with my plans,
Right.
but also I had been living and caring for someone with memory loss is
Mm,
like you really do lose them. You do lose them before you lose them physically. Does that make
right.
sense?
That makes total sense.
Yeah, you losing them because they fade away,
Yeah.
you know, throughout the time that you're caring for
Yeah.
them. And so when they do transition, you are relieved that they are free from their body and free in their
Right.
spirit.
Amen.
And so you're in because you can move forward with your plans, but don't get stuck like in a place where now what and you don't know what to
Right.
do. That would
Right.
be a bad place to be at. And
Right.
so I would recommend and advise people to start making a plan for
Right.
what's your next step after your loved one transitions. I
Right.
think that's an
Right.
important one. Yeah.
Very, very. Yeah, people um, think they're being selfish or, just think they're being selfish. And that's totally not true. My mom personally would have wanted each of us, she did want each of us to pursue our dreams and our goals and things like that. She never wanted to be a burden, and she would say that before her, because she ended up getting dementia related to Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of forgetfulness and hallucinations and things like that, accusing people of stealing. How they go through those things
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes.
But before we would have some great conversations before, and that's what we're trying to get across tonight. Start now. Have
Start
those
now.
chats, especially since the holidays are coming.
Yes. And people are going to be together, families are going to be
Mhm.
together, maybe not with this
Maybe.
pandemic,
Yeah.
but this is a good time
Hmm.
to bring this up. This is a time really that families get to get a pulse of how their elderly parents are doing, because a lot of
Right.
times they do come home for the holidays to visit, and then they notice that mom and dad are
Yep.
are not, like something's up with mom or dad, and they start
Yep.
observing, that like you were noticing with your mom,
Hmm.
bruises on their bodies, and you
Hmm.
start wondering,
Hmm.
okay, what is going on? Or maybe they've lost weight and then you realize they haven't been eating well, or
Right.
haven't been taking care of themselves well, because maybe there's some memory loss that's happening there. Maybe you find out, maybe you find some little pills on the floor and you realize, oh, they have not been taking their medication as directed, or they're having trouble, with their, emotion, and or their sight, and they
Yeah.
don't know that
Yeah.
they're dropping the medication. So you begin to, the holidays is a good time to really pay attention to what's going on with your elderly parents, and then talk to your other siblings and other family members about what's going on.
And I say to those who tell me, oh, I can't talk to him or her, my sister or brother or whatever, because that's too difficult. Well, that doesn't excuse, seek help. Someone, maybe have a mediator come in. There's a lot of groups out there, they will have a mediator come in, like you were mentioning the support groups before.
Right.
Um, there's always help. So never, never, never just say, oh, well, I just have to do it all.
Yeah. And if you're part of a faith-based family,
Mm-hmm.
have your pastor come, and help you with that.
Yes.
You're, someone that you love and trust to be the mediator, so that can create an environment to have a safe conversations with whoever you need to have the conversation with.
Absolutely.
And we should have mentioned at the beginning that there's different types of dementia. I mean, I don't know
Right.
how many have officially been identified, but the dementia that your mom was having that's related to Parkinson's, isn't
Hmm.
that Lewy body dementia?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
so
Mm-hmm.
that's one dementia, and
Mm-hmm.
and Alzheimer's is another one, right? So
Right.
there's different types
Yep.
of dementia, but they all
Alcohol
involve.
related. You can
Yes,
go on.
there's vascular dementia that
Mm-hmm.
people get after,
Mm-hmm.
some a heart, a stroke,
Stroke. Mm-hmm.
or a heart attack. Um, So various types, but they all, deal with memory loss.
Right.
And the symptoms of memory loss, are very similar.
Yes, and it's not easy. We're
No,
not saying it's easy. We from two female caregivers, daughter caregivers, we know, and we don't want to leave the sons out either. We know that they help, but
right.
seek help. That's what we're asking and pleading with everyone tonight. Whether you have other siblings that will help out, have those meetings, have those conversations. If you're by yourself, you're the only child, seek help. Find out about the resources that are available out there.
Yes.
Yes. So, Elma, I want to say again, thank you. This has been such a wonderful chat. I'm so jealous that you're in Costa Rica.
Oh, listen, you're going to have to come and visit once this pandemic dies down,
Oh,
because
I would
I
love
guarantee you,
that.
you're going to love it too. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you and to help people learn more about what it it means to care for
Yes,
somebody.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll definitely have to have you back in the future.
I'll be
And maybe
glad
we can
to.
hone in on another topic about how we dealt with our loved ones during their
Okay,
time of
I would
need.
love that. I would
Yes,
love that.
awesome. Well, thank you again for your time. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Health Chats Among Friends. My
Thank
name
you.
is Deidre Kendrick. I'm a nurse advocate, educator, and navigator. I love bringing you resources that are reputable and great for your loved one's healthcare journey. Tune in next time, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.